Hey there everyone, Toby here, and today we're looking at songwriting ideas, more blues based. I was asked to look into how Philip Sayce, the blues machine, does his songwriting or his ideas. So we're going to get into that. Let's do it. Okay, so one of the things I noticed, not specifically, one thing I noticed with Philip Sayce, I'm a Philip Sayce noob. I have watched a song or two way in the past, but more recently after this question on how he does his things, I watched about 8 tunes, so I would still consider myself a noob, but I got a bit of an idea. And I noticed a lot of riffs in his songs, and one of the things you can do when it comes to how to write a new part is to chop an old part in half or use a bit of it. So for instance, if I was doing something like whatever, I was doing something like that, and maybe that's the main riff, or it doesn't matter where it is, it's a riff in a song. So maybe I just want to do and then figure out what can sound cool with that, because I mean that sounds cool by itself, but maybe you cut up the riff, you use just change the rhythm of the ba, ba, ba. There's an idea. So cutting apart from another riff, make it into another one, that can work. It's also a familiar idea, so it's not going to be as crazy, like, oh, there's a riff, oh, there's a riff, you know. It can sound smoother using different parts. That's a pretty standard kind of writing technique, I think. The next thing is, I would say, figure out what key you're playing in and muck around with the chords within the key. For instance, if we're in E7, we're coming from the key of A major, and A major gives us A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E or E7, E major, E7, F sharp minor, and then we've got G sharp half diminished back to A. So what you can do is you play your idea, whatever your riff was, and if we're in this key of E, you maybe, if the lick was like before, if I've got that, something like this, and what I will do is I will play the riff into another chord within the key. So why not just go up from, we're on the 5th of the chord, so the 6th is F sharp minor, so I might try see what that sounds like. If I like it, cool, and then explore where I go from the F, or I might go up to let's go down, haha. So I might that sounds cool. Up to the D sounds nice. Sounds cool. It's a nice movement. It's actually like the John Mayer song. That one. It's that song. Who did you think I was? Same movement. Same movement of harmony. So yeah, you take your chord that you finish on, or from your riff, and you figure out where to go within the key. That's kind of like, I guess, a process of elimination for a long time. And then sometimes you just hear, after you've done that for a long time, you just hear where you want to go. Or you sing it in your head and then find that root note and put a major chord on it, a minor chord, or whatever is within the key. So that's another thing, chords within the key and jumping around from one to another. That's a pretty cool way to go about it. Random ideas. This is something I played around with and managed to annoy many a bandmate. Goodbye, pick. Hello, pick. Yeah, I annoyed many bandmates with this particular concept, and well, it's a few concepts. I used to write more crazy stuff, riffs and whatever back in the day, and so one idea was take, let's say, your pentatonic scale. You're in E, blues. All right, so I might use that scale. I'll write down the notes: E, G, A sharp, B, D. And I'll throw them in a jar separately, pick out one by one, and look at what I've come up with. So that gives you the new order of notes to play, and then you've got to find a rhythm that goes with it. So if, let's say, I pulled out the... And already that sounds a bit interesting. It's got that in it right away, so it's an interesting tension interval. So if I do now, I'll think of a rhythm. I don't know, whatever. So picking out random numbers, scale degrees from a jar or a hat or your bum, I don't know, whatever. Pull it out of somewhere and do something with it. So that was one of the ideas. The other idea was maybe writing down the frets that you can use within that key, whether it's the blues scale, Mixolydian scale, doesn't matter. The Mixolydian scale gives you more options, so why not? So in that case, you've got 0, which would be your open string. If we're doing the blues, so you'd have available would be 0, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, and then the 12 is 0 again. So you can either put 12 or you can just think of it as 0. And then, same thing, you put them in a jar, hat, whatever, and pull out random numbers, and then you find a rhythm that works. Or maybe you've got a rhythm in the song already that sounds cool, and you use that rhythm with the new notes. I used a similar concept when I used my phone number. This is the one that really pissed off my band because it was annoyingly difficult. I used my phone number, and it was for one version was for the timing. So it was something. This was old. If you ring this number now, see who you end up speaking with, because it won't be me. This was like 20 years ago, I think, or something close to that. And so it was something like 335273 something. And so the first bar was in 3/4, then 3/4, then it was in 5/4, then 2/4, then 7, then 3. And so that was just like, whoa, weird. But it was cool. It was difficult and annoying, and you just did that in a loop. It was like 8 numbers in a row, just... So you can use the same thing with scale degrees. So if it was 3, 3, 5, 2, 7, 3, whatever the rest was, 3, 3, 5, 2, 7, 3. I think it was 1, 9. 1, 9. So that takes you out of a key. Hang on, what was it? 3, 3, 5, 2, 7, 3. 1, 9. You get the idea. If you're wanting to keep it within, that was using the phone number with fret numbers. If you wanted to keep it within the key, you use the phone number with scale degrees. So if you don't know what scale degrees are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's what scale degrees are. Each note has its own little number. So that's a quirky idea that can be super weird. It can be super not weird, which would just be normal, I guess. So what else? I don't know. I'm just going to leave it there. Short and sweet. If you can figure out what key you're in, play chords within the key, see which one matches. Write random numbers that relate to the chords within the key. So these ideas can kind of work together. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully that's opened up some kind of stuff in your brain. All right, cheers, take it easy, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay safe.